The plan to kill Bill before his appeal. My name is Flavor King, and this is part 3 of my 4-piece combo clapback series, inspired by the Prince of Denial, Rashad Ritchie of 1380 WAOK, AM, Fight Back Radio, and the rest of you Negroes that don't quite understand who Dr. Bill Cosby really was in the struggle of the Black Matrix here in America. And this segment, filled with facts, is mainly for those of you that simply do not believe that Dr. Bill Cosby was set up. And you don't believe that there is a worldwide conspiracy to erase all traces of black brilliance and black excellence from the face of the earth. And we're going to get you them preludes right after this. So with no further ado, I'm going to let him tell you, the real father of all Black Lives Matter. No one loved us more. Dr. William Bill Cosby.
The first really vicious anti-Negro film was called The Birth of a Nation, and it was a honey. And the second worst thing about it was that technically in 1918 it was the best movie that had ever been made. A cat named D.W. Griffith produced it, and he knew how. See? Birth of a Nation pretended to tell the story of the Civil War and what happened afterwards when the slaves were freed. White woman couldn't walk on her own sidewalk, if you believe the picture. In the South, Negroes got the right to vote, and the movie showed black vote collectors refusing to accept white votes, and black people sneaking in extra votes. And if these black bad guys don't look very bad to you, it's probably because they were white actors wearing burnt cork. Negro legislators took over in the South, and in the film they were made to look like apes. This was the movie version of how it looked in the Southern state legislature. They drank whiskey, they ate chicken with their hands in the State House, and they put their feet up on the table with their shoes off. And of course, they passed all sorts of crazy laws according to the film. It was obvious to anyone who saw this picture that Negroes weren't fit to govern themselves or anyone else because they really weren't people. This film is 50 years old, and it may look silly and out of date now, but it didn't look silly when it was made seem. Several million Americans who saw it were propagandized to believe that this is the way things would be if they weren't careful. So they've been pretty careful. Slavery. That's the place everybody likes to start Negro history. It's the way it's usually taught. People think that we Afro-Americans started with nothing but little grass skirts like the kids in the Tarzan movies. But we had something before we left Africa, something more than rhythm. I mean, we had a high culture. The culture was so high that great artists in the world are still borrowing from it. Now here's a sculpture by an unknown African artist. And here's what Paul Klee took from him. And here's a work by an unknown black African. And Pablo Picasso liked what he saw. Another African design, and Modigliani swiped it. Or he was influenced by it, or whatever polite word you want to use. Another black African artist, and Picasso didn't change it very much. Take the Lewis and Clark expedition here, right in there. You'll find a black man named York helping to open the West. Those men are trying to wash the black out of York. That's what you might call historically significant, because a lot of people think we ought to wash white, but we ain't gonna, you see. How about the North Pole? Snow White? Well, the first man there was black, Matthew Henson. He spoke Eskimo. And he was Admiral Perry's navigator, and although he made it first to the pole, it never quite made it to the history books. And how about your heart? Can we get there? All right. Daniel Hale Williams first performed open heart surgery successfully. And this list could go on forever. Blacks who made it, blacks who made history. Because it isn't important whether a few black heroes got lost or stolen or strayed in America's history textbooks. What's important is why they got left out. Now, if you tell the history of slavery right, you got a big problem on your hands. The slave trader didn't take some savage out of Africa. He took a human being, sold him like an animal, and separated him from his family. America invented the cruelest slavery in the history of the world because it broke up black families. After slavery was over, America kept breaking up the black man's family. And that's some awful history to teach. When you look back on these old films, the patterns come jumping out at you. The most consistent thing about them was the attack on the black man. The attack on the black man.
But the notion of white superiority can never be sustained in the presence of black excellence on any level. So they attack the black male gladiators, actors, comedians, singer, dancer, sex symbols, brothers like Bobby Brown, Chris Brown, James Brown, Jim Brown, Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan, Michael Irving, Mike Tyson, Mike Vick, Magic Johnson, and Tiger Woods, just to name a few. If they can't kill you and hijack your legacy by putting a white face on it like they did sweet black baby Jesus, they'll knock your nose off to hide your identity from the world, like Napoleon did to my Egyptian homeboy, the Sphinx. Or they'll just defile your legacy after they kill you by telling the world that you died from some shameful disease like AIDS. And that was done to the greatest tennis player alive at the time, Brother Arthur Ashe. And from the mouth of a Caucasian CIA agent, while on his deathbed, he made a confession. He said that he gave the greatest reggae artist of all time, Brother Bob Marley, for his birthday, a new pair of tennis shoes which contained a hidden needle that was laced with the cancer virus. And I can't prove it, but I know they crippled the greatest of all time, Muhammad Ali, with something. And I know they killed Bernie Mac on Saturday, August 9th, and Isaac Hayes Black Moses on Sunday, August 10th, 2008, as soon as they finished making a movie together called Soul Men. That was a hit from the top. Just like you Negroes can't tell me they didn't kill General Khalid Muhammad, General Steve Coakley, Attorney Johnny Cochran, Dr. Miles Monroe, Pastor Stephen Darby, Dr. Seti, Prince, Whitney Houston, and the All-Set King, Nipsey Hussle, and Barbara Dick Gregory, who was cleared by the doctor to be released from the hospital the day before they killed him. And I believe they're planning to kill Dr. Bill Cosby before his appeal comes up and tell us he committed suicide like they did Aaron Hernandez of the New England Patriots. If any harm comes to Dr. Bill Cosby, everybody working on that floor, all 3 shifts, gonna be held responsible. Okay, please check out part 4 of my 4-piece combo clapback series. I love y'all. Word.